Thank you, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the summit of the WSESU, WSESD, and Vernon Town School District Boards. This meeting will come to order. This meeting is a hybrid meeting, which means that some or all of the public body meeting remotely, and some are meeting physically in a previously noticed location where the public may attend to observe, listen, and participate contemporaneously. Please note that while we will strive to provide means for those attending remotely to participate in the public comment period, there may be technical difficulties or reasons that otherwise prevent or interrupt remote public participation. Therefore, it is important to note that the open meeting law only ensures the public's right to participate and comment at a public meeting by attending at the designated physical location as posted in the notice of agenda. If a member of the public or the public body has technical difficulties accessing this meeting remotely, please alert us by email. In the event that a technical difficulty cannot be resolved, we may continue the meeting if necessary to time and place certain. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting that are not unanimous will be done by roll call vote in accordance with the law. Now you get to call them to order.
So I'm calling to order
VTSD.
Thank you very much. Yeah, okay. The WSESD, the summit on February 9.
And I'm calling together the Vernon School Town District meeting at 6:03.
Right.
Before we move on, we have some changes to the agenda. I would entertain a motion from anyone from the SU board to table our agenda this evening, except for the resolution, to make the evening shorter since we have to meet Wednesday anyway.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you very much, everybody. We'll get to go home a little earlier.
And may I move the Vernon agenda items, the consent agenda, and the PreK partnership up as close to the top as possible? Because we've got a tricky quorum here, we're gonna get the work done. And could we also move to appoint Daniel Amadon as assistant clerk, because we need a signature tonight.
You can do your agenda
Well,
thing.
So yeah, this is the agenda, then turn it back over to
that's
Barbara.
absolutely right. So that sounds fine to me. Any objection from SD? I see. Okay, I don't hear any voices. All right. And there is one more amendment to the agenda having to do with the WSESD, to put a letter that I sent around to everyone coming from the Rural School Community Alliance on our agenda for discussion. This issue came up on January 13. We had several questions, but now we have the actual letter where, as a board, we're being asked to sign on in support of the RSCA appealing to other districts for donations. So I would like to put that on the agenda for this evening. Comment about that, Ruby?
I personally think that discussion is going to take time, and I also think that there are community members who have strong opinions about that particular topic. So the idea of adding it, I'm not very comfortable with, and I think that I'm sure that the RSCA has urgency around whatever their request is, but I don't see the need to discuss that tonight. I think it can wait for 2 weeks.
Okay. Other discussion about that issue? Brian?
I would agree with Ruby on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, other comment? We do have this time a letter from the RSCA, and I sent that around to everyone to see exactly what the issue would be in communication. It's not vague any longer. And I'm looking around for other comment on this.
And Cheryl and Dan are here.
And both Cheryl Charles and Dan Alexander I'm sorry, I do this all the time, Dan MacArthur, sorry about that, Dan, are online waiting to answer any questions. Okay, I don't see any further comment, but for these two, oh, yes, Tim, I didn't see you, sorry.
Yeah, with all due respect to Ruby, I don't know if, why there would be much dissent. We all read the letter. It's an important letter with what's happening in the legislature these days. The lobbyist needs funding. This is simply a lobbying effort, donation effort. So I just don't see the complexity of it, and I would like to see it discussed tonight.
All right, we'll put this, I guess at this point we should put it to a vote and see where we stand on it. All right, and
We're voting on putting it on the agenda?
we're voting on putting it on the agenda. Okay, that's what we're voting on. So all those in favor of putting it on the agenda for this evening, please indicate by raising your hand. I need to see hands up.
Can I put a?
Okay, wait 1 second. I'm sorry. Did you want to adjust that motion?
To limit conversation to 5 minutes?
Limit conversation to this issue?
Yeah,
You mean once it's on the agenda?
right.
But we have Cheryl, Charles, and Dan
Okay.
MacArthur.
Okay.
And as an SD
Okay,
board,
fine.
no conversation is ever limited to 5 minutes.
Okay.
I say that with humor, but let's get honest. Let's be honest here. Okay, I would say let's limit it to 15 minutes or something like that. But let's just figure out whether we want to add it to the agenda or not. So, all those in favor of adding the RSCA request to tonight's agenda, please raise your hand so that we can see. Hands up. What do we have? How many do we have? 4 with hands up. Is that correct?
Five.
I'm sorry, did I have 5? Oh, good, now I see 5. Got it, we've got 5 with hands up. Okay. All those opposed to adding it to tonight's agenda, please indicate by raising your hand. Okay, so I see 1, 2, 3, 4.
Jessica's online.
I see 4. And Jessica, are you voting?
I missed the discussion, so I'll abstain.
So carries.
So it's on the agenda. It's on the agenda, okay. So it will be on the agenda under the WSESD, wherever my agenda is, yeah. Okay. All right, so moving on. At this point, it's Vernon, consent agenda, and business.
Thank you, we'll make this fast. So I would like to move that we appoint Daniel Amadon as an assistant board clerk for the sake of the signature that we need tonight, because technically I am chair and clerk. Cheryl, are you on?
Yes, hold on, I have to.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, which means Cheryl, Daniel, and myself, in favor of Dan being the assistant board clerk, say aye.
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 All right, thank you, that is done. Next up is a pre-K agreement with the Wild Strawberry Forest School. We have done this before, but they had a fire, and because they have moved locations, we need to re-sign the agreement. So I would entertain a motion to authorize the board chair and the assistant board clerk to sign the pre-K agreement with the Wild Strawberry Forest School. Would someone like to make that motion?
I will make that motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the signatures for the Wild Strawberry Forest School, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that is done. And next up, we have our consent agenda. Would someone like to move the Vernon consent agenda as so presented.
I will.
Oh, Cheryl, you're gonna win that one. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing the Vernon consent agenda as presented, say aye.
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 All right. Vernon's done.
All right.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay,
Thank you.
I guess this bounces to the WSESD part of the meeting. And we are going to start with the articles associated with the annual district meeting, which takes place on March 17. Article 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think this is pretty straightforward. And I'm just, at this point this evening, am required to ask who is going to do which article. I think traditionally as board chair, I do Article 1. Mark does Article 2, begins it, but then we need a motion associated with Article 2. And then also because we have the complication of an election March 3rd, followed by reorganization on March 10, followed by the annual district meeting on March 17, we do need to stay with board members who are not in contention for their seat. So I need someone to volunteer to make a motion having to do with Article 2, which is electing a moderator, a clerk, and a treasurer associated with the annual district meeting. The moderator being Stephen Brown, the clerk being Mo Hart, and the treasurer being Frank Rucker. I'm looking for a volunteer. Thank you.
I'm not volunteering.
I'm sorry?
I'm not volunteering. I'm nominating,
Well, I'm just asking for a volunteer, and Colleen raised her hand.
Oh, okay.
So can we go with that?
Nominate Bristol.
So okay, Colleen, thank you. Okay, Colleen. And then Article 3, I'm going to ask that Willow take on Article 3, which is regarding the compensation to the WSESD school district. Article 4, having to do with the actual budget, goes to the chair of the Finance Committee, Ruby McAdoo. And that leaves Article 5, which is to transact any other business that may legally come before the meeting. Article 5. Going. Okay, Matt Shibley, thank you very much. Okay, great. I'm just gonna sign my name to this, and then it goes around to the SD board, everyone who is present this evening.
May I ask a question while you're signing?
Not while I'm signing.
Or-
No, because I won't sign my name correctly, so just wait 1 second. I need to focus on my name. Okay, did that.
Okay. So the language of Article 3 about compensation, has it always appeared that way?
Yeah.
So it doesn't identify the amount?
Can I just say, I don't think it identifies the amount, and the language is gonna be different. The script is different. This is a shorthand approach. The script is more involved.
But it doesn't identify.
No, I don't think it does.
It does.
Oh, it does?
Yes.
There we go. It does.
Previous years, last year, it had the dollar amounts.
Good.
Because it had for school directors, and then the board chair had
That's
it.
what I remember.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm wondering why wouldn't this draft have, I would assume this would be
Because I
finalized.
think this is what's getting warned into the booklet,
Oh.
and then our scripts
Once
are a
it's
little more
finalized.
detailed.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Okay.
will receive scripts, and they are more detailed, yeah, I remember that, yes, okay. Any other questions about this? Brian?
Do you need an alternate in the event someone is unable to attend that meeting? If so, I would make myself available.
You'll make yourself available, thank you very much. And so I'll make you an alternate, oh, I see. So you will be a fill-in alternate. Thank you. That takes care of that. Good. All right, understudy. Yeah. And so the articles are right here, and we need to make sure that everybody present signs them. So I'm going to move this around here. And this is for the SD board only. And now we are up to a brief discussion about the letter.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
point of order, do we need a motion to approve the annual meeting
we
articles?
certainly do. Thank you very much.
So
We do.
moved to approve the WSESD annual meeting articles.
Second.
Okay, discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. We are now moving on to the letter coming from the Rural School Community Alliance that I sent around to everyone. Cheryl Charles and Dan MacArthur are here. And should I ask them to offer a couple of words before we begin?
I've just asked them to unmute, so.
Okay. So briefly, because we're gonna move through this rather quickly, and Cheryl or Dan?
I'm happy to speak. Oh, this is
Cheryl.
Cheryl. It looks like Dan is ready too. Dan,
Yeah.
did you want to start? I'm happy to.
Yeah, go for it, Cheryl, and I'll follow up. Thanks.
Okay, very good. Well, this is, as the more than 104 towns, as you all know, are now part of the Rural School Community Alliance in the state. We work to secure the services of Leonine Public Affairs, and it's that group, and we work directly with Nick Sherman, who helps the Alliance to have the opportunity to give testimony, to meet with various legislators in the process of trying to make the case conveyed by the members of the Alliance having to do with the implementation of Act 73. In looking for monies to help support those efforts, the steering committee, Dan and I are both members of that steering committee, it's a 5-person steering committee, thought that it would be helpful if we reached out to other school districts and supervisory unions that have contributed funds. So I chair the Westminster Board, I chair the Windham Northeast Supervisory Union Board, Dan chairs the Marlboro Board, Jeannie Albert, Dr. Albert chairs the Lincoln Board. And so the three of us have drafted and signed this letter. We simply reached out to Windham Southeast because you have already contributed funds to this effort. And we thought a letter that is school board chair to school board chair would potentially be helpful in this process. So that's why we brought it to you.
Thank you, Cheryl. Dan, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Windham Southeast School District for contributing this year and last year as well. I guess my assumption is that you as a board have considered the merits of this and figured it to be of merit, and which is why we thought it would be useful to have your signatures asking other supervisory districts and unions to contribute as well. And I just want to say that the town of Marlboro, you might wonder how this RSCA benefits the smaller rural schools relative to Windham Southeast. But town of Marlboro's high school students essentially all go to BAMS and to the high school and bring, tuition dollars with them. So, and I would like to think that the smaller rural schools around the state would maintain the ability to make those choices. And yet we really appreciate that there are larger school districts nearby where our high school kids can go and where we can pay tuition to have them go there. So, so thank you again for your contributions.
Okay, thank you to both of you. I'm looking around at the board, questions, concerns? Okay, Tim, I can't see you, so you need to either move further this way or move that way. So, and then, okay, Tim, yes.
Okay, first I'd like to thank Charles and Dan for the enormous time and work and energy they put into fighting for the survival, really, of not only rural schools, but our district. What's at stake is the literal, if the current proposal, the current plan is accepted, the one proposed by Senator Connolly, if that is accepted in its form, our RESD, our district would be dissolved. Vernon's district would be gone, the SU would be gone, and replaced by a much larger governance entity of some sort handling over 3,000 students. Our district would grow over 50%. The articles that we just signed that the people will vote on in March, the voters of our districts would have no say. They would not vote on that. They would not, the people who come together to vote on our budgets, that would be gone. There's a whole lot at stake here. The continual oversight of our schools as we know it, I believe that, Matt, you've said it, this board does a great job, and we will be no longer. There's just a whole lot at stake here. So I would like to not only support the signing of the letter, but I propose that we contribute another $2,000 to the Rural School Alliance in support of their lobbyist. Some time ago, when I made the motion to reduce the professional services line in the board budget, I believe it was Ruby who made the very good point that we may need that money precisely for support of a lobbyist. I think that time is now with all that's going on. So having said that, I make a motion to I can't make a motion.
Excuse me, we're really just discussing the letter right now. And I know that a contribution at this point will generate a lot of discussion. The contribution is not the pressing issue this evening. We could hold off on that until later February, even March. It's the letter that I would like to stay focused, let's not complicate the issue. That's my suggestion right now, Tim.
We'll vote on the letter, and if there's, and I'd still like to make the motion for the donation, but if it needs to be tabled, then we'll table it.
But so let's just stay with the letter right now. Okay, thank you. The letter. Other comment about the letter. For me, the appeal that we looked at on January 13 was vague and raised a lot of questions in this group. The letter is clear, concise, and it has answered my questions, my concerns. And I speak simply as a board member. So I'm looking around the room for comment. Ruby.
First, I have a question and then I have a comment. The question is the request for this school district, the chair of the WSESD board, to sign on to this letter? Is that the request?
That's my understanding. I'm looking at the letter right now.
And so do we have a sense of, at this time, I don't know what Lincoln Town School District, but I know Westminster and Marlboro are heavily involved in the RSCA work.
Right.
Is the intention to have lots of signers, or are we just what?
Okay. So Cheryl, do you hear that question?
Right, I did hear this question. No, we were not trying to get a long list of board chairs. We just wanted a few. And we're feeling a sense that, there's so much at stake right now. We'd like not to take a lot of time getting signatories, but we know that you've been very supportive of the Rural School Community Alliance, have already contributed money, so we just asked you if you wanted to sign.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Can I say my statement now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So Cheryl and Dan, thank you very much for everything that you do. I appreciate both of you very much. I appreciate the work of the RSCA. But.
No but. And. A but sort of negates what goes before. Let's stay with the strong appreciation.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
In addition.
In however you want to hear it, what I'm about to say is a little bit in opposition to the appreciation that I just raised. And it's that I feel like we as a board have heard from community members who have concerns over the contributions that have been made. And so from that to that end, and that's why I think that this is the wrong time. Like, I would like to be talking about systems to support graduation, not this right now, because I know that there are community members who would have liked to have seen this letter. Only, at this point, only board members have seen this letter. Only board members have read it. And I just don't think it's appropriate for us to act on this. As much as I appreciate personally the work of the RCA, and I'm comfortable with our contribution, I think that the last time we voted to contribute to the RCA, there were comments at that time that were any future contributions, we must have a more serious conversation. And that to me is not exactly that makes us not quite in an easy place to sign on to a letter like this that asks other districts to contribute in the ways that we have in the past. So that's my statement.
Mm-hmm. Okay, much appreciated, thank you. Any further comment on this?
Question?
Yes, Jim.
I'm only aware of one member of the public who is opposed donation to the RSCA. Am I wrong? Are there others?
I recall community members, staff members, and board members who've expressed concern over in meetings.
Mm-hmm.
To my knowledge, there's been one staff member and one member of the public.
Okay, all right. Brian.
When the RCA first came to us, I had some concerns about supporting them, but I went along with the group. I had some other concerns and reservations since then, even when we voted to give them money a second time. So I don't feel comfortable suggesting that we suggest other people support them also.
All right, I think, I'm gonna pull this together at this point. Let's, do we need a motion to take a vote at this point?
Madam Chair, I believe there's already a motion on the table.
Okay, and, good. And the motion, would you please read it back?
As I understood it, Tim, you made the motion to adopt the RSCA letter of support as written.
Okay, all right.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and it was seconded.
I don't believe we've heard a second yet.
I'll second it.
We've got a second, okay. We have just had discussion, but for the protocol of the process, is there any further discussion? All right, that being the case, let's bring this to a vote. All those in favor of moving forward with this letter coming from the RSCA. Did I hear anybody objecting?
No.
No. Okay. All those in favor of moving forward with this letter, please indicate by raising your hand. Raising your hand. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, all those in favor, all those not in favor of moving forward with this at this time, please raise your hand. We have 3. I see 3.
See what did Jessica raise her hand?
Jessica, I don't know what's going on. Jessica?
I'm in favor. I didn't have a hand. I can't find the hand function. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you are in favor?
Yes.
You are in favor. All right, well, it passes. And Cheryl and Dan, thank you very much. The chair will sign on
Thank you very much.
in support.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. And please know that we certainly appreciate the thoughtful concerns, had no intention of trying to divide the house there, but just really appreciate the support overall. And thank you. Thank you very much. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you. I'm going to say a divided house is what democracy is about. And I'm very comfortable with that. To hear dissenting opinions, it'll keep us on our toes. And it's a good thing. So thank you very much, Dan. And
we appreciate you all. Thank you.
We'll sign off now. Thanks.
Thanks. Okay. All right. Now, yes, Tim.
I'd just like to make a motion to put on the agenda for the next meeting, a discussion of a donation to the RSCA.
Okay, a motion to put it on the agenda. Let's just send me an email that you'd like it on the agenda.
Okay.
How about that, rather than putting a motion on the table for a
I
future?
withdraw my motion.
Thank you very much. Okay, but you have to remember to send me an email, okay? All right. We are up to the, what are we up to? We are up to the consent agenda, are we not?
No, the resolution.
Oh, we're up to the resolution. Okay, I don't know why I'm having trouble following this. WSESU, WSESD resolution. Ann, do you want to take that?
I would hope everybody's gotten the chance to read it. We're living in a world where our students, all of our students, are afraid. Not all of them are afraid for themselves. Some of them are afraid for people that they know and love. Everything in this resolution reaffirms who this district is. It reaffirms our obligations under filing veto, which is still the law of the land. And it makes it clear that we will continue to provide an education, and we will continue to provide a safe education to the best of our abilities to every single child that we provide an education to. Again, a great deal of this is about how we intend to follow the law. So I hope everyone got to read it, because it is a little long for me to read out loud. But it is my sincere hope that there is no one sitting in this room that objects to anything that's on this page, these pages.
First, there is one mistake in the letter. It says per 16 VSA subsection 261 and 563. Actually, 261 has nothing to do with this. It's about the formation of additional SU lines. That was a mistake. So the letter should read per 16 VSA subsection 563 only.
Thank you, Tim.
Secondly, I would like to support what Ann said and say that this resolution is not about endorsing a party or condemning any political leader. It's about affirming the educational and civic principles that define our district and reassuring students and families that their schools value compassion, dignity, and respect for human life. It's only a resolution, not raising a flag as they did in Winooski. We're not taking a dramatic symbolic action, but even a simple statement of values matters. And then last summer, we talked about our portrait of a graduate and the values we want to see in our students from elementary school through high school. We agreed that those values should be lived and promoted all year long. With everything happening in our state and our country, this feels like the right moment to reaffirm them by voting for this resolution.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I would entertain a motion that the Windham Southeast Supervisory Union adopt this motion as a statement of principle.
A second. Oh,
We need a first, yeah, just a motion.
Uh,
This is the SU.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion from the SU? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Thank you very much. This resolution is adopted for all of our students.
And on the agenda, it also says WSESD. So with all of the comment that has been made by Anne as chair of the WSESU, I would like to apply the same to the WSESD.
So moved. Seconded.
Okay, okay. Was that a motion I just made? Oh,
The motion was made.
you made a mo-
moved.
Oh, you said so
He said
moved.
seconded.
Seconded. Okay, great. Okay. We now have a motion. Any discussion? Ruby?
I'm in support of this motion, but I have a question about where will the resolution be read and acted upon at the annual meeting? Is that what's going to happen?
No, I hope it will be posted on our website
Okay.
near where we have our commitment that we've already have up there.
So once this is passed here, it will be put out into the world in the ways that we do through.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
And is it understood that section 261 would be deleted?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, yes.
That can be-
Absolutely. Yes. Good.
Just as a point of interest, 261 also includes duties of a supervisory union board, which does provision curriculum. It requires the duties of supervisory union boards to support member districts, allocate resources. It does seem to remain to me, there's only one part of 261 that is about supervisory union boundaries, but I'm not too vested in the issue.
So,
The 261 is the supervisory union duties of a board, and the other statute is more for districts. So if you want the supervisory union sort of referenced in your resolution, then you should leave.
261. So there we go. 261 is not an error.
I wrote the thing, I think it is.
Okay, then we take it out. We just took it out. Okay, so be it. So now we have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of this resolution, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, both sides of both boards. Thank you very much. We are up to public comment on non-agenda items. Public comment on non-agenda items, and typically we say that this is a time for the board and for administration to listen, not to offer comment, but to take suggestions into account. So, public comment on non-agenda items. Yes, please identify yourself and your town of residence.
Martha Noyce, Brattleboro. Hello, good evening, everyone. As we know, the budgeting process for this upcoming school year is coming to an end. I encourage all here this evening and those participating remotely, school board members, principals, assistant principals, department heads, Superintendent Spino, employees of the district, to continue to be mindful of the high, ever-increasing property taxes paid in our communities. Please reflect upon what you, as a team or committee or individual, have done this year to help the budget, to keep the budget somewhat under control. Ask yourself, how was I creative? Where was I able to consolidate? What compromises were made? And how many times did I say no? This is not reasonable, this is not necessary, or there could be another solution. We can all do better, and there still is room for improvement to further bring expenditures under control. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Any other members of the public who wish to comment? Okay, I don't see any hands. We are going to move on to the consent agenda for the WSESD. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Okay.
Second.
We've got a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you very much. It is approved. All right. And,
Having tabled the SU consent agenda, it's Vernon's turn.
okay. So, Vernon, yes.
Oh, we're done.
Vernon did it already.
All right.
Vernon did it already. So, we are moving on. I'd like to move on to an acknowledgement of honors that took place at the NAACP, but I just want to begin with a brief critique. There was very little mention of it in the papers. I saw nothing in the Commons, and the mention in the Brattleboro Reformer, first of all, referred to it as the Freedom Fun Brunch, F-U-N. It's actually the Freedom Fund, F-U-N-D, brunch. Big difference. The other piece is there's a little blurb on the first page explaining why there are 3 pictures on the first page. 3 pictures, 2 of which people of color. The pictures continue on page 6. Lots of people of color and no article. That I find insulting. The event was an important event, and it was certainly worthy of note in our community, given that 2 people out of this district were honored at that luncheon, and there was no mention of that at all. You can't get away with just taking pictures of people of color and thinking you've made a difference, because you have not. And that's not okay. So I just want to begin with that. And now we're going to shift gears. And we're going to talk about the people who were honored.
Indeed. It was a great honor to be invited to both to the brunch and to present an award. But before we get to that one, another member of our VUHS community, our former student representative to the board chair, Liva Eager, was awarded, given an award as an outstanding student volunteer at VUHS. There's a beautiful picture of her in this program. I really wish I put it somehow online, but just want to remind everybody this is what we do. Students like Liva, the leadership that she shows, the work that she's done to help other students, despite being a person who might need help herself. These are the students that we need to grow. This is what we need to teach people. And Liva, we are honored by your presence in our school district, and thank you for your work. The reason we were invited was to present an award to Michaela. In 2018, somebody decided that we didn't need a director of diversity, equity, and inclusion. That decision was quickly reversed, and Michaela has been proving to us ever since just how much we do need someone in that position. That's the speech I meant to give on January 17th, but I would have had to follow Deborah, who has a much better speech, and I believe she intends to make it again now.
Yeah, we missed you on that occasion, Michaela, and so you cannot escape. And the camera is on you, not on me right now. All right, because it's not about me. The WSESU and the WSESD extend heartfelt appreciation to Michaela Sims, the Director of the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Social Justice, for all that she does for her values and for who she is as a colleague and a friend. Michaela meets every challenge with patience, diplomacy, and determination. She works to fill in the gaps for those who cannot imagine the lived experiences of others. She works to diminish what divides us. She works to push back on unearned privilege. There is an expression in the world of diversity training and the facilitation of difficult conversations, from the shelf, the bookshelf, to the self. We are responsible for our own learning. We are responsible for holding up that mirror. It is too easy to look out the window at others as if that enlightens who we are. She encourages an increased awareness of self by gently leading her peers to the mirror of our unearned privileges. We are only enlightened when we actually make that painful journey into an acknowledgement of our implicit biases and an acceptance of inevitable blind spots. The words, the lessons that we want to convey to students means first recognizing who we are. That work must occur first, and that's what Michaela Sims does for us in this district. Regardless of age or role, our shared goal must be to identify with that other individual, to be willing to step into their shoes. If we refuse, we are inflicting self-harm. This is the work that Michaela does. She encourages all of us to take that step forward. To the extent that we are willing to do the hard work, often painful, the better equipped we are to engage our students on their own journeys of self-discovery. Here's the rub. Every small moment of success is too often followed by the frustration of watching that same person later neglect to practice the learned moment. Despite what seems Sisyphean, Michaela perseveres. The task is never hopeless for her. I feel as if I can hear her voice saying, "Look around the room. We are all in different places on the spectrum of awareness. We are all limited by our lived experiences." How many of us in this room actually look in the mirror and truly understand who we are? A level of self-awareness must precede even the possibility of what we need to convey to students. That is what Michaela practices, personally and professionally. She is willing to be that vulnerable human being. She is the first to exclaim, "Oh, I didn't realize that," or "I should have made that connection." She practices what she believes. Michaela has demonstrated unwavering support for all students in Windham Southeast and throughout the state. She has done this through trips to colleges, to events, to conferences, the bus rides, the late nights, and the long weekends. Michaela has supported parents and guardians and caregivers who have needed to come together. She has created a safe space for honest communication for students of color, for all students, as they work to understand the implication of identifiers, their own and those of others. And so, for Michaela's decades of leadership as an anti-racist activist, and for her unwavering support of our students, making sure they know how amazing and how strong they are, making sure they see the possibility of joy and an empowered future in our society, making sure that they are critical thinkers, able to share their views with thoughtful argument in a way that opens the communication rather than shutting it down. For these reasons, we honor Michaela Sims today.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, thank you.
Okay, let me also give you this, all right?
Yes.
And this I do not read, it's very personal. So that's what that luncheon was all about. And it was just one moment after another in terms of the people who were honored. And I see Mark nodding his head, and I see Kate nodding her head as well. We were all there. And it was an incredible afternoon of snowstorm as well. Okay. I knew that I was going to embarrass you. Yes. I had to go outside just now to tell her, you're not leaving. You can go back in the room. That's why I popped up outside. Because she was walking out of the room. Okay. We are up to the administrative report.
Okay. Michaela, congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you.
In terms of the report tonight, it's essentially the summit presentation. I don't have any new hires or resignations or retirements to announce tonight. So that being said.
Okay.
Do we need a 5-minute break before we?
Oh,
do
yes,
this?
that's great. It's for the second thought, yes. Okay, all right, coming back to order, and we have a summit this evening. Thank you very much. We are only 1 hour into our meeting. I just want to say that. So I think we are in very good shape. Thank you.
All right, so we've got a team here tonight to review systems of support that are in place to support graduation. And before we get started, there's about 25 slides. We've talked as a group to try to limit 1 to 2 minutes on each slide. So, next one is the guiding question that we used to dig into this presentation. How do we increase graduation rates and support all learners on the path to post-secondary success? So that was the framework that helped guide this presentation.
So as we share tonight, we've handed you a couple of documents. The one on top, which has a little table, is meant to be a place for you to take notes as you work through the presentation and identify some things that surprised you, impressed you, something you may have a question about, or other ideas that might be good to investigate. So please, try to jot something down in each of those areas throughout the presentation, and we'll have some time at the end of the evening to share your thoughts and ideas with a group. So we tried to ground tonight's presentation in our portrait of a graduate. which has 6 attributes. And so we've kind of linked the different pieces of tonight's presentation with those different portrait of graduate attributes. And just to refresh your memory, these are our portrait of graduate attributes and their descriptors.
Okay. At the end of the school year, when we have our board admin retreat, we work collectively to identify topics for discussion throughout the school year. This is one of our topics. And on our board calendar, historically, we have aligned the presentations and meetings to policies. This year, we've also included the EQS standards. So those are the standards that we feel this presentation covers tonight.
So this is the state graduation rate data that is almost 2 years old at this point. I was on a call earlier today with EPA and someone from the AOE, and the AOE said that this is high on their priority list as their data tracking system is not good or timely, and so they're really focusing on that. The next slide is we decided to start tracking internally what our graduation data looks like. So this is the graduation rate data for class of 25. And based on our own data collection, we last year were at 83% graduation rate for students graduating within 4 years. And I believe the within 6-year rate was 87%. I'm looking at you on it. And so the numbers on the bottom that are not bold are for students who transferred out of our building. And then we had 23 discontinued schooling, 154 graduated with the diploma in the allotted 4-year or less time, 7 who graduated as super seniors who took more than 4 years, and 1 who did a GED program out in the district.
All right, this one's mine. Ben Coppola, assistant principal at BUHS. And we are piloting literacy interventions this semester at the high school. Right now, we're looking specifically at 9th and 10th grade students who scored a level 1 on their STAR reading benchmark. For clarity, level 1 is the lowest 25th percentile. We then place students in one of 3 different intervention groups. Those groups were confirmed through additional diagnostic assessments, as I'm going to talk about here in a second. And just for clarification, this includes all students, not just students with IEPs who are eligible for these literacy interventions. And so before we actually start talking about the 3 groups, let's just go through the process of how you get placed for one of these interventions. And so, like I had said, we start at that level 1 of the STAR test. Any student who scored in that range was called back during the fall for our oral reading fluency test, otherwise known as ORF, where they were given an 8th grade level passage and asked to read for 60 seconds to see how many words correct per minute they could read. Those students that could read at 120 words per minute, but were still scoring a level 1 on STAR, were recommended for our 4E intervention group. If you fell below that and scored less than 120 words per minute, you were given an additional spelling screener. If you scored above the cutoff score for that screener, you were placed in the just words intervention group. However, if you scored below that cutoff, you were given an additional phonics screener. If you scored above that phonics screener cutoff, you were placed in the just words group. However, if you scored below that, you were placed in our phonics group. And so if you go to the next slide, we can talk about the 3 different groups. And so I just left off on the phonics group, and so let's flesh that out a bit. Foundational phonics, that group is for students with significant gaps in their phonics and spelling. It's taught specifically by the 2 reading interventionists that we have in the building. They're utilizing the Wilson's Words curriculum, and they're teaching within very small groups. The largest Wilson's group that we have right now is 3 students. The next group is decoding. And so these are students that can read, but they struggle with breaking apart words, specifically longer multisyllabic words. And so they have the phonemic awareness. They understand all of the sounds that the letters make. And so what we do is we apply the Just Words curriculum, which is a fast-paced version of the Wilson-based instruction. And basically, we're front-loading strategies for students to understand how words are built in the English language and some of the patterns behind that. It's structured, it's explicit, and it's skill-focused. And then the final group that we have, and these are the students that need it's the least intensive of the fluency groups. And by virtue of that, it doesn't actually use a structured program the same way the decoding and the foundational phonics does. Fluency is students who are put in that group read accurately, but they need additional speed and expression in order to be able to really capture the ideas behind the things that they're reading. And so what we do is we have two groups right now that focus on the 4-8 method, which is acronym for Fluency-Oriented Reading Instruction. And so basically, we have a special educator conducting one group in our learning support class, and then we have another educator in our Tier 2 Access Hub space doing a 4E intervention as well. And basically, students are given a stretch text. A stretch text is one that is slightly above their reading level. And then they read that stretch text about 3 times throughout the week in different configurations. The first configuration would be choral reading with the teacher. Second would be partnered echo. And then they do a third reading within the week and then have some comprehension activities at the end. Again, this is supposed to focus on repeated reading, modeling, and discussion in order to build more fluent readers. And the hope is by applying these 3 strategies in a very nuanced way to our students, we start filling in the gaps and more good things to come next year in terms of how we start looking at this in a more robust way at the Tier 1 level.
Can I just ask you a question? You said choral reading with a teacher.
Correct.
The second one was echo.
Echo reading with a partner, where you're going back and forth.
Reading line by line, back and forth like a script.
Or paragraph by paragraph.
Oh, paragraph,
Correct.
okay,
I have a quick question.
Correct.
Is the content taken from the classes that they're already taking?
Well, for the foundational phonics and the decoding, we're using a very structured curriculum, and so no, it's a standalone class. For the 4E method, most of those are going to be nonfiction articles that are slightly above the reading level of the students in that group. And since they're multi-grade groups, it's a little bit difficult to figure out common readings that would apply to each of their classes, but we do try to make sure that they are nonfiction articles, similar to articles that they may be reading in social studies or science. And in some cases, we do put in literary works, like short stories and prose.
And the intervention, is any of it extracurricular?
No, it's not extracurricular, and it's not pull-out. It's built into their schedules.
Why not extracurricular?
When are extracurricular? Why not extracurricular? We just haven't got there yet. We do have extracurricular offerings. We just haven't brought intervention there yet. So, for instance, we have a 5th block where students can come back for enrichment. We just haven't offered intervention during that time frame yet.
Thanks,
Mm-hmm.
Before we move to the next slide, I just want to share the context of how this slide came to being. And that is a committee was developed last year between the curriculum office, central office, members of BUHS and BAMS to identify a targeted data approach to literacy instruction. And so this encompasses about 1.5 years of meeting regularly on a monthly basis to develop this level of an approach, which was not existent before that committee came to be. So Bryn began the committee by facilitating us, and then Ben has since taken it over, and it's been a really nice development that we'll hopefully be repeating in other areas as we move on and develop.
I I'm gonna stand just because I'm in the corner, not too formal. So I think that's a good segue and a good example of one of our multi-layered systems of support, or MLSS. I'm not doing any metaphors tonight around this. In 2018, Act 173 was passed by the Vermont legislature, which initially and essentially was a funding change formula for special ed, but also really encouraged us to rethink the delivery systems and the way we structure and support what kids need in school. And so this is a graphic that we use sometimes to think about the key components of Act 173 and to think about as a framework as we develop our multi-layered systems of support. So if you'll humor me for a second, it shouldn't be too hard. You have kind of a worksheet with a very crude start of a drawing at the bottom of it. These are the bottoms of these 4 pillars. You have them in front of you. So the 4 kind of pillars or foundational pieces of MLSS are our education support teams, teams of educators, parents, other wellness practitioners in the building, the teacher, the principal, the student, to think about what extra supports could be put into place before we go the route of special ed testing sometimes, to really meet the needs of students. So that's one pillar of Act 173. Another is our local comprehensive assessment system. Ben just gave an example of one piece of that, which was the flow chart of different assessments that students might take in order to find the right intervention for them. That also includes unit tests, VTCAP, our benchmark assessments 3 times a year, our progress monitoring, our other measures of student climate, our other measure, anything that we have kind of in our toolkit that we looked at in one of our meetings. We have our coordinated curriculum, and then we also have needs-based professional development. So ways to respond to the needs of teachers and other professionals in our system in a just-in-time moment. In an ideal world, all pillars are built equally, and we have a nice firm foundation here for our building, and it's true that sometimes some of this is a work in progress. So for the next 30 seconds, based on what you know, you could think of a particular school, a system that you work with. If you could sketch a relative height of these 4 pillars based on your own assessment. And then you can try to get your roof on. And if all of your pillars are exactly the same height, like this graphic, our roof of best practices will be there nicely. And perhaps it's not there yet. So I invite you to draw up your pillars. If one's really strong, you're gonna draw that pillar higher. If you don't think one's there yet, it might not be as high. And then go ahead and place a triangle on top. So I'll give you 30 seconds to sketch. People are looking at me like, wait, what? So you're basically drawing relative height of each of those 4 components of our MLSS system.
And the height represents?
How strong is it?
How strong is it?
How functioning is that piece? How well is it in place?
Okay.
How well are we implementing that area?
Then you have to put a roof.
There's no grade on this. We're not going to do a flow chart of intervention. So, as you have your pillars drawn with relative heights and potentially a roof on top, I'm going to invite you to turn and talk to someone next to you about what your MLSS building looks like and why. This will be brief, so within a minute or so, we're going to ask Anne to blow the whistle to bring us back. So brief discussion of what you drew and why. Go ahead.
don't understand all that, but I think that we sort of I always think yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they're all very important, and I don't know. I think it's going to be different.
Very loud. Next time you'll listen to it when I blow it quietly.
Let's get a bell for next time.
This actually is not related to the meeting at all.
Thank you for indulging in that exercise. And it's possible that some of us don't have the knowledge of one school system or another, or some of these pillars, but I just want to get you talking a little bit about what that looks like and thinking about that. I saw lots of drawings. So we have pulled together a district-wide MTSS team. So there's a representative from each school who meets monthly to share successes and challenges and resources together, and then go back to the schools to carry on this work. And this is the first year we've met with this consistency in quite that format. And so there's some 5 key responsibilities of those coordinators, and it's a little small for those of you in the back. So there's developing systems, there's thinking about facilitating teams back at the sites, there's really using data school-wide to look at what's happening and how supports can be put in place and how we can really celebrate successes. We really think about then coaching and building capacity within our sites for this work. And then really thinking at the center of all of this, equity and access for all students. So those are the 5 key components that we are really focusing our work on. We won't read this, but this is some of our goals and outcomes this year for that committee. And then, get ready for it, we recently did a self-rating at our last meeting of where did the MTSS, MLSS committee members think that we were at with these pillars. And so here's what our pillars look like. The blue bar is that we think that piece is really strong. The red bar is that it's developing. And the yellow or orange bar was it's in need of some more support at this time. And so if we're seeing bars that are more on the blue side, you could consider that like a taller pillar in your drawing, and bars that are more red-yellow would be a shorter pillar. And interestingly, that's what a lot of your drawings look like while I walked around the room. And so it's been a nice process to do some initial seeing where we're at and build capacity, and then check in and do a needs analysis, and then continue doing that work self-reflectively throughout the year. So we have some work to do on needs-based professional development, which is in process. And also, people feel like we have a lot of data in place to support, and then acting on that data, really trying to flip that. We're really trying to say 20% gathering data and 80% acting upon it and planning for it. So that's some of the work that's happening. So I've had a chance to meet with Hannah Rosinski, wwho is the EST coordinator at UHS and is doing that right now at bands and also 504. She is leading basketball tonight, but wanted to share some ideas for what's next with MLSS, specifically in this system to support graduation. So there's really a desire to expand that. Right now we talked about some of the literacy services, so thinking about expanding that next to math, and really thinking about expanding that for universal screening for social emotional learning for all of our students. Really thinking about proactive support for 9th graders transitioning into the high school, really closely monitoring trends, and focusing on things like how do you study? what does it look like? What kind of functional and organizational skills do you need to show up and be successful in high school? And how can we have really robust wraparound supports from our sending schools into high school so we're really ready and prepared and have some systems in place to support kids? And then additionally, moving toward a school-wide EST committee at BAMS was one of Hannah's ideas, to really think about having shared roles and representation across teams to get infusion of new ideas from other educators in the building, bless you. And really focusing on our progress monitoring, so we set goals, and we set goals that are measurable, and then we have some enhanced systems to really check in on those and how are we doing with meeting those goals. At the elementary level, it's easier potentially to say, we want to get the reading fluency rate to this number, or we want to get some of the math skills to this place. In middle and high school, that's a little more nuanced, and there aren't always specific assessments to really target that skill that we're working on. So building additional common assessments and teacher designed assessments to help us monitor acquisition of goals. So that is our MLSS and EST system, and specifically how we're working on that here at the B6 building. And then I'll turn it over to Carrie for the others. And oh, sorry, Mark.
I'll start us, yeah. I'm just gonna speak briefly and focus on the Canal Street School that has been developing for about 4 years now. This year, again, we have 2 cohorts at the school. The next focus for us has been thinking about providing extended day offerings and then also summer services. So we've had some recent meetings where we've made a commitment this summer to provide a program at Canal Street throughout the summer, and also to extend the day during the school year. So this is feedback from families. That is something families are looking for, and we're in the stages of doing that, making that happen. Carrie is our pre-K coordinator.
Hi there. I just wanted to say that all of the pre-K expansion for public pre-K really speaks to the district's belief that pre-K matters and belongs in our pre-K to 12 system. And that's really great news for our youngest learners. We're getting ready to do kindergarten registration, and we're talking about the future class of 2039. So it's when you really think about it, class of 2039. And just I want to highlight, as well as we are expanding our public pre-K options, we continue to expand our our private UPK partnerships too. Since 2024, we've added 3 UPK pre-qualified programs, so now we have 16, which really opens up a lot of great access for our youngest learners, and that's really exciting. So I just want to sort of say a shout out to everyone, the superintendent, the business administrator, Mary Kaufman, the principal of the public pre-K in Brattleboro, early childhood special ed, and the CNA teams have really just made this all happen. The leadership, it's been amazing. And the collaboration is worked. And that's it.
So I'm kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum. So I wanted to just talk a little bit about the Career Center. I think one of the things that I have enjoyed the most this year is I got to go to a conference in Nashville, and I attended a half-day session on planning for graduation in pre-K. And doing career and community outreach and acknowledgement in those age groups. And we talked about how you can start introducing career ideas in pre-K all the way up through. And so we talked about touch the truck, invite the police officer or the fireman to lunch, do a tour of the local bakery at the grocery store. All kinds of things that you could do in early learning or in elementary school, and then moving up and creating basically a roadmap to get to graduation for students that have a lot of exit and on ramps so that kids can change their mind, which we all do. And So one of the things I really like about CTE is it's that final on and off ramp that really gives you a chance to explore what you like to do free of charge while you're still in high school. And so one of the things we talk about a lot is if you're perfect and you know how to do everything, you're not in the right education cohort. You should be in a higher cohort. So I expect people to make mistakes in the process of learning, and I expect them to sometimes choose the wrong thing and then wanting to readjust. So I think that's really important. The other thing that I'm really proud of about the Career Center is how many of our programs offer dual enrollment credits. So students are getting both high school and college credits at the same time. And each of the programs with an asterisk comes with at least one college course, and most of them come with 2 or 3, and some of them come with 4. And that's really beneficial for students as they go off to college and they don't have to take as many classes.
All right, so as you kind of picked up when Bryn was talking about our EST and MLSS systems, data is something that we want to use in our schools, and we need our staff and students to also see that data as valuable. So I'd like you to take a moment and think about the statement that resonates the most with you around the use of data. So one is something done to us, something done with us, or something that helps us make better decisions. And hold up your 1, 2, or 3. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of 3s. I'm seeing some 2s. So our goal is to try to shift the data culture with the staff and the students at our schools from more of, oh, it's just something done to us, to it's something that's going to help us make better decisions. And these are just a few of the ways that we have done that this year at BUHS. So we began reviewing STAR data with students so that they got to see their data and talk about their data and think about what went well, what didn't went well, what they could do better last spring. And we've continued to do that for each subsequent administration of the STAR benchmark assessment. And then we've also taken PD time, half days, to look at STAR data and VTCAP data as a faculty. We restructured the way that the STAR exam was administered for the winter in BUHS to really emphasize its value to students. And so we gave it first thing in the morning in a content area class, rather than doing it in advisory during the day. And we're hoping to kind of repeat that structure in the administration of VTCAP this spring. And then we gave additional layers of assessment in response to STAR data, which Ben already described starting this fall. In addition, not listed here, we're also using data with different departments to prepare for the students that they're getting second semester. So they're able to look at the STAR data to go in and learn more about their students before they're in their classes. And so all of these steps have been part of the process of shifting the data culture to make both our staff and our students see the value in the data and its value in making decisions that are going to support student learning.
And this graph was taken from a survey that was given to all graduating seniors last year. And we had computers set up before they could get their cap and gown to go to graduation to make sure everyone did it. So it's pretty accurate and everyone mostly is on there. The biggest areas that people went into were the green is bachelor's degree, and then the orange is straight into employment. And so I think, you can see the breakdown of everything else up there, but one of the things we really focus on right now, and we've been working on with Aspirations for the last 3 years, which is a partnership with BSAC, is that every student graduating from BUHS should be graduating with a plan and what that looks like. And for every student, it's going to look very differently. And as somebody mentioned earlier, your path changes. And sometimes you might be in 9th grade and you think you want to go to college. And then by 11th grade, you've done electrical and you've decided you want to go into trade school. So I think just like allowing students to find their path while they're here and to demonstrate what that looks like and then graduate with a plan for what comes next. Some of the work also that will go into this is, starting next year doing PLPs and students really documenting from the start and end of their time at BUHS what that looks like.
Hi everybody, I'm Julianne Egan from Jefferson School. And one of the ways our students are really owning their learning at some of our schools is through a student-led conference model. And this is kind of an example of how our district works, because I first supported my students in having their own student-led conferences about a decade ago when I worked as an English language arts teacher at BAMS, and we were piloting that model with the Tarrant Institute at the time. And it completely changed my whole perspective about student voice and student leadership and students owning their own learning. At BAMS at the time, back when we started it, one of the most staggering outcomes was to see how our participation rate in terms of families coming to conferences went from like in the 60 percentage-wise up to 99 to 100% of families participating. And so since that time, I have really enjoyed supporting a student-led conference model, both myself as a teacher and then now working with Demerson school teams and staff pre-K to 8. So at Demerson, we have had a student-led conference model from for ages 4 to 14 over the last set of years since COVID. And again, it is based on a research, the research we know that student self-assessment is considered one of the top influences on student growth. If you look at John Hattie's research, it actually is second in terms of its effect size on learning. Top is collective efficacy of staff. Second is student self-assessment. Whatever age, whether you're 5 years old or 13 years old, the student-led conference model is all about talking about your learning goals and showing your family and showing an audience how you achieve those goals and where you are relative to those important learning goals. We know that the students are the most important person in the room. They are the star of the show. They are the ones who need to be able to understand, am I understanding this? What did I achieve this year? Let me talk about it. That in itself is a way to consolidate learning. It is really a cornerstone in terms of our equity work as well, because we know that learning is a two-way partnership between student, staff, and family. And so when we have students at the center of that experience, we also, as we experienced at BAMS, or as I experienced at BAMS, our participation in our student-led conference model ranges between 99 and 100%. And then Keith was going to continue to talk about that.
Yeah, I'll be brief. Julianne covered kind of how we started it at BAMS in Demerson, but one piece I'll add that we've just added recently that will end up going into our personalized learning plans, well, hopefully. Kids who took the fall benchmark and then the spring benchmark with STAR, in the fall we had them do, so those are the kind of things that used to be done to them and then they didn't hear any more about it. And the adults might look at it. Now we are having the teachers, the advisors sit with the kids, and we have extended advisories in the fall, and we just did one recently where the kids have a reflection sheet so they get their STAR results back, and then they sit with their advisor and they kind of set goals for the next set of assessments, and we're looking for kids to move ahead. And so that just puts a lot more ownership with the students. So we're hoping that pays off for kids and they grow. So we're excited about that. Thanks. I guess I have the next one too, and I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Keith Lyman, if anybody doesn't know me, principal at BAMS. We've been, excuse me, at BU6, we've been looking at our student discipline. I'm looking at it as an administrative team and also at the school levels, taking a look at our data trends, what's happening. We tend to see patterns up and down, but we're also seeing patterns with the referrals, where they're coming from, how frequently, what's the profile of the kids that typically get a student discipline referral. And you know, we don't hide from the fact that we see some trends of kids who are on IEPs who frequently get discipline referrals at higher rates. It's not just student on IEPs, but excuse me. Yeah, different subcategories of gender and race. So we see trends that make us know we have to go back and take a look at why is this happening. It's usually around engagement and trying to find ways that kids feel happy and happy at school and supported at school. So looking at all those trends and then trying to adjust. I'm pretty sure the high school's had a recent meeting on this, and we have at the middle school, just to look at the data together and then to start to talk about ways that we can, as one teacher put it, not put an adult between the teacher and the student. So what happens when, it was well said by one of our teachers, and I just remember it stood out to me, is when you as a teacher take a situation and decide to write it up to the administration, then we end up taking it and kind of talking to the student about it. And that puts a middle person in between the teacher and the adult. So the teacher and the student. So that was a really nice analogy by a teacher who explained that. So we're just taking a look at that and really clearly identifying which things should be written up to administration and which things should be handled by the teachers and staff. And we found that there's often a lack of clarity with those things. So that's that middle piece around clarifying roles and expectations. And we know that at the bottom line with all of this is it's all about those relationships with kids. And the more staff work with the behavioral issues and the student in the classroom, the stronger their relationship becomes with that student, and also engaging the family in that process. So it's a general overview of that. Connected to this is restorative justice. So I'll talk about it first in a bit, but maybe I'll have Sam start. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha Stein, Dean of Students at BUHS. So an important extension of the behavior and discipline conversation is a discussion about restorative justice and our restorative practices program. So at BUHS, we have a restorative practices program led by John Kersey, and the goal of that program is to non-punitively repair harm between individuals. That might be student to student, staff to student, staff to staff, anyone involved in the community in a way in which everyone's needs are met. And so referral to restorative practices is an action that we assign to certain discipline referrals, and students always have the option to engage with the restorative process, and participation in that process is always voluntary. It's an important distinction. We are working on a professional development focus on restorative practices for the 2026-27 school year as just a way to continue to equip our staff with a skill set that helps to build really genuine and authentic connections in a way that proactively supports student behavior and belonging in the building. And we're getting that started this year with our restorative practices coordinator, John Kersey, meeting in small groups with each department to sort of begin to plant the seeds of this work as we help people to frame behavior in an appropriate way, just to help, again, build that skill set.
Yeah, so a little history, Mike Zostak worked at BUHS, and BAM's partnered with Mike a lot with restorative, and then when Mike left, there was a little bit of a hole left. John's taken over, and we failed to kind of draw John in at BAM, so we're trying to rejuvenate our restorative process at BAM's. And I have a teacher, you might have, we probably already presented this, but Anka Blinka-Lair, who got a Roland Foundation fellowship this year and next year. And so doing a lot of work with our staff regarding restorative practices and what it brings, and adding tools to their toolbox to kind of help out in the classroom and building those and restoring those relationships when they're harmed through hurtful actions in the classroom. So super excited about that work. We have 3 faculty meetings this year dedicated to introducing, and John Kersey's been coming over with others in the school community to share their work. Students from BUHS have come over as well. And so we're excited about continuing and adding that to our toolbox at BAMS and continuing at BUHS.
Hey everybody, so from the summer summit, we heard from a lot of schools at that summit about how we are really focusing on attendance this year. Due to COVID, schools across the nation took a huge hit with attendance. And nationally, regionally, in the state, we are still struggling to rebound. That's a really significant issue because we know, it's total common sense and also shown through research that chronic absenteeism has a significant effect on students' learning and their outcomes, and whether or not they're going to graduate on time, for example. And not only does it have a significant effect on that individual learner, it also can affect the entire school community. So there's research that shows that schools that have high absenteeism also have kind of lower rates of achievement overall, which makes total sense because we have systems where students learn together. They are learning with each other. And when 1 or 2 students is absent from a class, you're missing and losing those students and everything they have to offer that day and everything they're going to bring to the class and every group project they're involved in, and we really miss them. So a lot of our schools have been focusing on this issue this year and really targeting this to make sure that we have students in school together with their community. At Dummerston, we have a few change ideas that we're really leaning into this year. We do have an attendance action team that meets weekly. So we're looking at attendance data every single week, and that's, school social worker, counselor, our school nurse, one of our academic support teachers, and myself are on that team. Really going through the data each week, taking a look at what's going on and developing coordinated responses. We're doing a lot of messaging around attendance. That's one of the things that got a little upside down during COVID because we were telling people to stay away. We're like, no, come back. Really making sure people understand how important attendance is and what kind of impact it has on children. And what the long-term impact is on learning. This year with Dummerston, we're doing a little bit of experiment where we kind of stopped our auto-generated letters, that are kind of like have kind of the form letter, and we're doing personalized letters. We're a small school, so it's possible for us to do this. Personalized letters to each family and phone calls around attendance at, the 5, the 10, really making that personal connection. We're doing some home visits. We're really communicating with families and with children individually, like, hey, we really miss you, and let's get together and let's really work on this. Our schools across the district use our EST process to tackle attendance issues so we can partner more closely with the family and set attendance goals. We're celebrating attendance at Dummerston this year. We're doing like personal postcards to students each month, you know, if they have perfect attendance. We have like a fun little like Wheel of Fortune, which is a wheel of attendance that we spin every week that you come to school. Every day you get your name and you get to, it's like a little ticket, and then we spin the wheel and you get to win lunch with, you know, lunch with the librarian, or you win a hike or popcorn for your class, or, you know, kind of community building activities that are fun. So that's super fun to do those drawings. And all of this, of course, is based on the idea that, you know, our schools have like a social emotional framework in place. At Dummerston, we use developmental designs because we want to know every day students come to school, they've got the sense of belonging, community relationships, and that sense of personal pride in their progress and learning. So we're looking at the data now. It's not going to be a 1 year, like I can tell you that. It's going to take some time to turn this around, but we are encouraged around this work.
So at the Career Center, we definitely talk about the fact that being present and engaged is an expectation. And sometimes the example that we use is in our aviation program, kids can actually earn the written part of their pilot's license test. And do you want to get on the plane with the pilot that only attended 80% of his lessons? Probably not. Or do you want the nursing assistant who only attended, 75% of the lessons? No. So that's huge for us. And then the other thing we totally capitalize on is the fact that we have our students for 2 hours a day with the same teacher and over a 2-year period. And so we definitely capitalize on that relationship building. There are 3 of us who basically deal with all of the attendance issues. It's our registrar who does the letters for us and takes attendance phone calls on a daily basis. Then there's our school counselor, and she helps deal with students who are, in that 5-day range. And then once a student is out more than 7 days, or between 5 and 7 days, you end up on my list. And my list includes having a meeting with you and your parents. I just bought my first screaming mini alarm clock, and if you've never heard it, it is appalling. It is an alarm clock that literally I don't think anyone could sleep through. It screams so loud that it practically rattles your desk as it sits on your desk going off. I tried it.
It's like that whistle.
It is like the whistle, except even worse. And if you don't actually get up and turn it off, like they suggest putting it across the room, it goes off again and again and louder each time. And by the time it had gone off twice, I had such a headache, I was just done. I would have, no. So anyway, we use that relationship piece to really build our kids up. And so teachers check in when a student's out. So, I didn't see you yesterday, we really missed you, is everything okay? It's not a grilling of students, but it is, the question of where were you and what is, our expectation is you're gonna be here and is everything okay? And sometimes it's really understandable why a student is out, and sometimes it's, I didn't feel like coming to school the day after the Super Bowl, and that's not quite as acceptable, because somebody's gonna want their plane to take off the day after the Super Bowl, so you need to show
I
up.
have a question. When you say out 5 days or out 7 days, maybe I'm crazy, but are you talking about for the semester? Are you talking about over what period of time? Or 5 days consecutive?
Over school year. All 5 days in a school year.
5 days in a school year?
So if you are out,
Okay,
if you have been out 4 days in the first 2 months of school, that's a sign of chronic absenteeism.
If you're out 4 days in the first
2 months of school. That's assigned because really you don't want kids to miss more than 10 days.
Got it, in a given year, yeah.
And so we want to stay right on top of the attendance, and so my job starts the second month of school usually in the attendance piece, but other people's is starting in the first, few weeks of school. We pay really close attention because that could be the plane that I'm riding on someday.
Kevin Drury, Special Ed Coordinator for secondary schools. And I had 2 guest speakers to come from our hub and our cave, but they were not able to stay this long. But they were going to come to talk about 2 case studies of students who graduated because of the hub and the cave program. To kind of put a face on these programs, which we've talked about before, but wanted to really kind of personalize it. So Lauren is one of our amazing special educators, and she was going to talk about a student who had a health and family circumstance that prevented her from coming back to school after her sophomore year, so she missed an entire year of school. When she did return, because of those circumstances, going to school for 4 whole blocks in a traditional setting wasn't really realistic, so she went to school for 2 blocks and then went to our hub where she did flexible pathways, some online courses, did a lot of check-ins with her team, made sure that she was keeping on track, and she graduated in January. And then Bianca was going to present
Can I
just
add something? Can you go back a slide? So just so people can put it in perspective, the Access Hub is staffed 4 blocks a day, and it's housed by Lauren Allender, who's a special educator, and Sarah Landers, who's an academic support teacher. And there's about 75 VUHS students who are assigned to the Access Hub, and they might be assigned there as drop-in, like if they're in class and they need additional one-on-one support or small group instruction, their teacher can call down and they can go down there. It might be that they need additional help with all of their classes, so they're assigned there for a block a day, and they can get that more direct instruction from people instead, like a step up from a study hall to allow for kind of deeper support. And that it's done through an application process with school counselors referring students to the Access Hub. I just wanted to add that. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that help in the hub, if a student goes there, there are other students there.
Yes.
So it's a busy place?
All day long, yes. And actually, one more thing. This year we implemented every core subject area this year has offered 1 academic course in that space. So it's like a max of 12 students per class. And both semesters we were able to offer an English class in there, and the English teacher from the English department is offering 3 different levels of English at the same time. So there's 10 students assigned there, all taking either English 1, English 2, or English 3 to fulfill an English credit, and they're meeting the proficiencies based on the different subject areas or the different level of English. And it's been a tremendous support for students who are really struggling to meet graduation requirements.
So those kids who are taking, let's say, English, and they have a teacher, are they taking it together as a class or individually?
Together.
Together as a class?
With a max of 12 students.
With a max of 12. And how many rooms does the hub have?
So there's 4 rooms combined. There's 1 classroom that they use for the teaching portion of it, and then they have 2 connected. There's like a half wall between the 2 for study areas, and then there's a small office space that some students do kind of some like VT, VLC, or online learning. Sorry.
Do you see stigma around? That's not something that student experience?
No, I don't think so. I think it actually gives them a sense of home and belonging.
Absolutely. And then our cave kitchen is part of our Tier 3C behavioral services program. Bianca was able to secure a grant for us to be able to explore food systems and businesses with our students, and it is run up at the Winston Prouty campus. We have an industrial kitchen up there which we have rented, and as part of that program we had a student who was definitely in danger of dropping out. And then over last summer, when it was time to set the program up, Bianca reached out to that student and she came in and spent the entire summer helping grow food, set the kitchen up, and have it ready for the school year. And then she was an absolute leader through the entire school year, came to school full days almost every day, and she was able to graduate in January as well, despite being very behind before that. And so that's just two of the many students that we serve in those programs, and they're doing a heck of a job. And Hannah has some gift certificates.
Yes, Bianca
for-
wanted me handing these out,
Okay.
and they're the Daily Bear Kitchen. Thank you for your service from all of us at the Daily Bear, a baked good or cafe beverage of your choice. And so we have staff that actually leave at lunchtime to drive up there to get their lunch and come back because it's so good. So I'd highly encourage anyone who wants to go up, go check it out and bring your coupon. I'm just gonna hand these out.
Yeah, thank you.
I have the next slide.
So, can I just ask, these two case studies of students who were struggling
Yes.
and did graduate, what's the next step for them? Do you have a sense in this case study of what they're doing next?
One of them is already she's employed full-time.
Mhm.
I'm not sure about the other one.
Okay.
I'm sure her team knows,
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah.
So as I shared, we had our 8th grade parent night last week, and as I shared at that meeting, like family home connection is absolutely critical to student engagement and success. And so I think that, keeping those lines of communication open are very important. And there's just a list of the many ways that schools connect with families throughout the district. Specifically, I would say, BUHS has the Booster Club for music and athletics and the Leadership Council, which meets monthly, as do all the schools. We are looking at, as a district, how to best communicate district-wide with families. And so right now, like each school kind of has their own method of communication. We're looking to see if there's some way to streamline it so everyone is getting the same information from the same place so that we can be more intentional with communication. I ran a PD this year that was focused on family connection, and as part of that, next week, we're gonna be also looking into those different areas for what our communication mechanism might be for the district to see, because teachers, counselors, administrators are all part of that, and they can kind of weigh into what makes the most sense. And then the Title I parent family engagement coordinators plan annual events, and a lot of that has to do with kind of our individual schools and what they like to celebrate and different evenings that they offer within their own buildings.
All right, so we're nearing the end here, and we just wanted to kind of give the board some warning about some changes that are coming in the future. So statewide graduation requirements were passed in Act 73 last year. And so in that act, they said that they would be for students graduating in 2031 and beyond. And the AOE has made recommendations to the State Board of Ed of what those requirements should be. The State Board of Ed has until July 1st, 2027 to approve or amend those recommendations. And then those recommendations would take effect for that freshman class starting in the fall of 2027. So we need to start preparing for those changes now, although they aren't finalized. So just some things to be aware of is that there's an increased number of credits in math from 3, which is what we currently require, to 4, with specific course suggestions. So the students have to take Algebra 1 and Geometry. You don't just have to have like a generic math credit. It says, these specific classes. There's a financial literacy course, there's a language requirement, which BUHS does not currently have, and a slight increase in the amount of art that is required compared to what's currently in our graduation requirements. So if they get passed as the current recommendation stands, that's something we will need to shift our expectations around. And BUHS has already started to think about this, trying to create some more half credit options, where in our system that would be a 2-credit option, thinking about structures to support students in math so that all students can be successful in algebra and geometry. And that's something that we're gonna have to keep in mind as we move forward and learn more about this development. All right, so now we want to give you a moment to take a look at your sheet. I'm going to have us count off by 8. We're going to form 8 groups. So let's do that counting first, starting with you, Anne.
1, 2,
3, 4, 5.
6 is Jocelyn.
7,
8,
1,
2, 3, 4,
5,
6.
7,
8,
1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
1,
2, 3,
4, 5,
6,
7,
8,
1,
2.
Okay, so we're gonna have groups of roughly 4 people when you guys get together. And in your groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're gonna talk about one of the topics here on your note sheet. So groups 1 and 5 will talk about something that surprised me. Groups 2 and 6 will talk about something I'm impressed by. Groups 3 and 7 will talk about something I have a question about. And groups 4 and 8 will talk about other potential ideas to investigate to support graduation.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
That's our group, what, the one,
Do we get to
I'm writing a
Did you
discipline
just
report.
assign them out?
2 is on the second one here, so they have a press box.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was being honest. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. So you're going to get together with your group. You'll have 5 minutes to talk as a group, and you, as a group, should identify your spokesperson and 1 or 2 highlights that you'll share out when we come back together. All right. So we'll do kind of at tables 1, 2, 3 in the back corner here, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 up here at the front. All right? 5 minutes. Me too.
Deborah,
I think if I sit, I might
Unfortunately, I don't have anything written down for 4.
What's something like I need to stand for a minute.
Nothing.
He'll take care of you.
So we're talking about stuff surprises us.
Graduation rate last year was
2 more.
Any more 5s? 3 or 5? So I got.
I was surprised that 75 students were inside the Access Hub. I'm still in capacity. It's good. When I say inclusion coordinator, so the high school programs, this is the first time we're transitioning to senior high school. That's like what that small group classroom looks like. And depending on the eighth grade students who might access that
From 3 to 4 math credits. Those are potential new requirements.
Certainly could impact.
It's another data issue.
So just comparing pre-K versus no pre-K. Okay. Stuff going on in L Street, you're already kind of working on it.
I would say so. I think there's a lot of in terms of like being able to break down like there's entire section like presentation. Yeah, I mean I didn't know anything about the I'd never heard of that. Like I knew about the access hub. But like stuff like that, it's like I don't even know if it's so it's definitely definitely a giant. Yeah.
That's okay. Even then, I guess maybe understand
I suppose that's the problem with trying to institute change is you're talking about kids who have been in the system. Right? They started pre-K at age 4, and ideally they build skills over time. Intervening halfway through would be rather challenging.
We're about to come back to that. All right, Anne. Oh gosh. I don't want to be this close. I will.
We're gonna pause your conversations. And we'll have each group share out their highlights, starting with group 1.
Okay, so we were talking about some things that surprised us during the presentation, and a couple things were the graduation rate last year and the lack of method to gather graduation rate info. We were also surprised by 75 students being in the Access Hub. It's a lot of students. And finally, we were surprised by the amount of opportunities for individual opportunities in the school for like students and being able to go out in so many different directions and do their own different things.
Awesome. All right, group 2.
So something we are impressed by is the expansion of pre-K with the Brattleboro Early Childhood Center, the increased rigor within the graduation requirements that are upcoming, and the overall work with the Access Hub and the Daily Bear to really get kids connected and progressing towards graduation.
Group 3.
Yeah, most of our conversations, so something we have questions about, how will we add graduation requirements and still afford it, given kind of the, and that led to some questions about, getting kids through algebra and geometry, getting all kids through it. So that was the primary focus of our questions.
Another potential idea to investigate to support graduation. We had a lot of similarities to group number 2. We also talked about the correlation between tracking students who attended pre-K in our system all the way up to measure how many of those students are graduating high school and are we reaching everybody. The new graduation requirements we thought were exciting and could help us increase our grad rate. And we didn't get to talk much more about our other ideas, but we thought about parent coaching and also
having transition meetings between elementary, middle, and high school to provide wraparound support for students as they enter their new schools.
All right, group 5. We were surprised not by Act 73, but by the course requirements in Act 73, by those very specific things. And we were also very surprised by the Daily Bear, and we're looking forward to going.
Group 6.
I vote Ben.
All right. we were impressed by a multitude of things. Among them were the district's approach and expansion of early childhood education services at the Canal Street School, communication throughout the district, the switch to data culture at the high school, and how additional layers of assessment are being brought in beyond just our benchmark testing, and then restorative practices being brought back to BAMS in a more robust way.
Great. Group 7.
I just have to say though that Julianne said, sometimes I just think about bringing it back to the 90s and that's gonna ring in my ears for a long time. But we were talking about questions we had about getting back to simplified ways of communicating with families and partnering with families, because sometimes it's, simple as like face-to-face on the phone conversation more than, an intricate Canva, I'm vamping here, but like newsletter. The other thing we talked about, we had a question, I have a question, and I want to talk to you a little bit more, Hannah, about the way in which we communicate with families, and if streamlining the way we communicate events, like Vernon is having a great family games math night next week, everybody you're invited. If everyone knew about that, would more families attend? And then when kids got to middle school and high school, would they be more likely to have an understanding of the way things are communicated, because they're communicated more similarly than the, Green Street this way and Vernon this way?
Right, and lastly, group 8.
We talked about the possibility of, as we're doing data dives and collection about graduation rates at BUHS, could we pull out which elementary schools kids are coming from to share that information with the elementary schools about who's graduating and how that's going. And we also talked about the idea that like when we establish and figure out what the PLP looks like, to make sure to share that out with families and community and have it on the website as a tool for people to be able to know what's happening.
All right, thank you. Everyone, you may return to your seats.
Thank you.
Great.
Get the one. I hope it's one still.
All right, so that brings our summit presentation to a close this evening. Like I've said at previous summit meetings, it's really amazing and remarkable to see how many adults are dedicated to our school system. And to have this many people in the room with Riley, I wish Willow could have been here tonight. It just, is he here?
He's online.
Oh, super.
He's online, yes.
I just think it says a lot about this community, our school system, and our school boards. So thank you again. This is our 5th summit. We held 3 last year, 3 this year. And I think it's a terrific accomplishment as we continue to grow as a system at the board level and the admin level and just the system level.
I think it's a great way to interact with each other, to look at each other in a different way, and beginning with supper and these presentations. So thank you very much. Thank you.
I would entertain a motion for Vernon to adjourn. Intent.
I will make that
motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Vernon is adjourned.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Windham
moved.
Southeast. Thank you. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? And the SU is adjourned at 8:17.
And,
So moved.
okay. Discussion, all those in favor, indicate by saying
Aye.
any opposed, abstentions, thank you very much. We are adjourned at 8:18. Thank you.